Hello Year 10s, this is Miss Cheng, and our first lesson today is on respiration. So what you should have in front of you is a black pen, green pen, lined paper and ruler. So if you haven't got those, do pause the video, go and grab those things and restart the video again. And just to show you, by the end of this video, this is what your classwork should look like. You will, for our future videos as well, have some drill questions. You can write some notes if you'd like. You have checkpoints where you're writing full answers, and you'll also have comprehension questions, but I will talk you through those. Also, please make sure on every sheet of paper that you are going to take a picture and attach onto Google Classroom that you have page numbers at the top. It's really important for your teachers to see and be able to follow what homework you have done and classwork you have done. So, like always in all science lessons, let's start off with some drill questions. So these are drill questions that you are answering. If you are doing a foundation paper, you are answering 1 to 6. And if you want to aim for the higher, you are doing 1 all the way to question 10. So pause the video here so that you can do them. But before you do that, I just want to show you the layout here. So make sure you have the title down, you have your name at the top, and also you have written drill questions. Pause the video now and you can get on with these drill questions. Okay, so the answers to the drill questions, here we are. Let's get our green pens ready. And these are the answers for the drill questions. And just to show you, you are ticking if you get it right, you are crossing and writing the correct answer if it is incorrect, and you are adding your score at the very end. So here we are, pause the video now so that you can answer your drill questions. Okay, and if, as I've written here, if you have 2 or more incorrect, you will need to go to the knowledge questions on the Google assignment called Knowledge Questions Blood Components. Do that again to remind yourself on this topic. So the topics today is related to respiration, and we have topics 1, 2, and 3, aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration, and fermentation. So let's start off with aerobic respiration. If I move on to my visualizer, then you can see here. So respiration. There are 2 types of respiration that you will know: aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration happens when there is oxygen, and aerobic respiration when there's oxygen. Anaerobic happens when there's not any oxygen. And we're going to start off with this side first, looking at aerobic respiration. So make sure that you have your topic, aerobic respiration, and you have underlined your topic. And if you want to add some notes, this is the notes you want to write in. So aerobic respiration occurs when there is enough oxygen. And I hope you also know the symbol as well for oxygen is uppercase O, lowercase 2. Here is our word equation for aerobic respiration. Again, there is oxygen involved, so it's glucose plus oxygen. The arrow means changes into carbon dioxide plus water. And in brackets, you are writing plus energy because energy is released. The chemical equation with the symbols, carbon dioxide is CO2 and water H2O. We also can add the add energy because it is released. Now we want it balanced. So very simple, we just add 6's in front of the oxygen, the carbon dioxide and the water there. Now we need to think about where these reactants come from. So as a reminder, the ones on the left-hand side of the arrow are my reactants, and the ones on the right-hand side are my products. We don't say that energy is a product because it is released. So glucose. Well, glucose is from our food and it travels to our cells via the digestive system. Oxygen is from the air and it travels via the respiratory system to our cells. And finally, I have written here, energy, really important, the language you use to make sure that you get those marks in your GCSEs. Energy is released We never say energy is produced or made or created, it's always released. Why? You should know it's because it belongs to the law of conservation of energy. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. In this case, it is released, okay, transferring one to the other. Right, so just to check that you are okay with the topic so far, I have checkpoint A for you to get on with. You write checkpoint 8, like so, you underline it, and you answer in full sentences. Pause the video now so you can get on with these. Okay, you're marking now with your green pen checkpoint A, and I've highlighted the answers for each, but you know that you should be writing in full sentences. Okay, let's continue on with our respiration topics. So, with aerobic respiration, we know that respiration happens inside cells. Now, you should be able to recognize this as an animal cell because it has a cell membrane. This animal cell has a nucleus, and you should also know that the nucleus is the good control center of the cell. We have the cytoplasm here. And we also have one other organelle, which is linked to respiration. And you should know the site of respiration is the mitochondria. And this is important for our lesson because this is the site of aerobic respiration. This respiration is an exothermic reaction, because energy is released. So I always say exothermic, sounds like explosion. Energy is released to the environment. And when respiration, aerobic respiration happens, what does it do? Yes, it releases energy. It doesn't produce or make, it releases energy. So the cell or the organism is going to use that energy. The energy is used for 3 things. Chemical reactions to build larger molecules. Now, what I mean by that is, let's have a look here. Amino acids, lots of amino acids will join together to make a protein. So we're going from a small molecules to larger molecules. Fatty acids and lipids, fatty acids and glycerols join together to make lipids. And a final example that you've learned so far is glucose with nitrate ions will make amino acids. So that's the first. These are all examples of building larger molecules. Energy is also used for movement, like for example, when muscles contract, and for keeping warm. So let's head back to our next checkpoint. Again, you're underlining checkpoint B as a subheading, and you're answering in full sentences. Pause the video now so that you can get on with that. Okay, these are your answers for checkpoint B. Make sure you have your green pen and you're marking all the different answers for checkpoint B. Question 3 was slightly difficult, but you should have given one of the 3 examples that I gave, such as making proteins from amino acids, making lipids from fatty acids and glycerol, and making amino acids when glucose are combined with nitrate ions in plants. And now we have a comprehension task. Just so you are aware, you are underlining the comprehension and writing aerobic respiration, because that is our topic, as a subheading and underline. You are then answering again in full sentences. The first one, you can just start off the balanced chemical equation for aerobic respiration is. And pause the video now so that you can have a go at the comprehension. Okay, these are the answers for the comprehension. You're using this opportunity to check, have you learned this content well enough? So muscle cells will have more mitochondria because they need more energy to be released to contract. And where does it happen? It happens in the mitochondria. Respiration happens in the mitochondria. And it's an exothermic reaction because energy is released in the environment. Again, if you are not really understanding or you're getting the wrong answers, then do rewind the video, pause, rewind, and start again. Let's now move on to anaerobic respiration now. So anaerobic respiration. Topic 2. Again, you want to write down the topic if you are making notes and underlining. So, anaerobic respiration occurs when there is not enough oxygen. Pen. So you will see in the word equation there is no oxygen. There is only one reactant. Glucose is the only one reactant. And in fact, there is only one product as a result. And of course, energy is released, but in this case, only a little bit of energy is released. Why? Because the glucose isn't fully oxidized. It's not a very efficient process. However, we do get a little bit of energy. And in fact, there's only 5% of the glucose being oxidized. Another problem with anaerobic respiration, even though you do get a bit of energy, is that the lactic acid can cause muscle fatigue, like muscle tiredness. So your muscles feel weak, they feel painful, they're tired, and ultimately they just stop contracting very efficiently. And in fact, if you have done a really long run or you see marathon runners, they will end up with a lot of muscle fatigue because they will not have enough oxygen. And in fact, this lactic acid will build up and build up. So make sure you know this equation really, really well. Set in your head a few times. If you need, tell your mum, tell your dog, tell someone else what the anaerobic respiration. Now cover it. Do you remember it? And here are some checkpoint questions for you to get on with. Again, you're underlining the subheading, writing checkpoint C, and you're answering in full sentences. Pause the video so that you can complete the questions. All right, so these are the answers. Your green pen's ready to answer the checkpoint C. And next are some comprehension questions. These are slightly trickier. Again, pause the video now so that you can get on with these in black pen. If you're aiming for the higher paper, you should be doing the challenge questions as well. And you're thinking, what type of respiration changes when a person runs a marathon? Bearing in mind, at the start, they're going to have lots of oxygen, and then over time, their oxygen will not be sufficient enough. So pause the video now. And green pen's ready. Here are our green pen answers. So the word equation is there, and you should have learned that now, since you told someone. Comparing. Now comparing, remember in this case, I've even given you the hint that you're using two differences and two similarities. If we're looking at similarities, we're using the word both. If we're using the word differences, we're using the word whereas. And finally, challenge question. Well, a person's going to start respiring aerobically because there's lots of oxygen. However, they will start to respire anaerobically because the heart and lungs are unable to supply the sufficient oxygen over time. We will look at this more in next lesson. Final topic is our fermentation topic. So, fermentation then. Fermentation is another strand of anaerobic respiration. If I show you our flow chart, you can see. So far, we looked at, without oxygen, anaerobic respiration in humans. And you should be able to tell me that it's glucose, which changes into lactic acid, plus little energy is released. Now, anaerobic respiration also happens in yeast and in some plants. When the question asks you what is anaerobic respiration in yeast called, it has a special name. The name is fermentation. Fermentation has different products. In humans, it was lactic acid, but in yeast and plant cells is carbon dioxide and water. Oh, no, it's not. It's carbon dioxide and ethanol. Well done to those who went, oh no, it's wrong, miss. So it's carbon dioxide plus ethanol. And again, it's plus little, I'm running out of room, energy. Okay, so let's write it on here now. So fermentation, as I said, is anaerobic respiration in what? Good. in yeast and some plants. And here is our equation, our word equation. Remember, there's only one product. Think to yourself, why is there only one product? Well, it's because there's no oxygen. Anaerobic respiration does not have one reactant. Apologies, not product, reactant. So glucose changes into carbon dioxide plus ethanol and little energy. And humans can harness this. They can use the products. For example, bakers will use carbon dioxide, use yeast, because yeast will ferment when you add sugar or glucose to our dough, and the bread will rise because that's the carbon dioxide. Brewers or winemakers will use the ethanol to make alcohol. So they will add yeast to hops to make the alcohol. And that's fermentation. So let's go head back to our checkpoint D. So writing checkpoint D and underlining, pausing the video and answering in full sentences. Okay, so your checkpoint D answer should look like this. Get a green pen and you're marking the checkpoint D answers. And finally, as I said, this is the flow chart, and you will need to use this in an exam to remind yourself what happens. Now, can you see anything that's missing from this flow chart? Well done if you said that the plus energy is missing in each of the equations. So aerobic is plus energy in brackets. Animals, anaerobic respiration is plus little energy in brackets, and the same as fermentation, plus little energy as well. So this is our final comprehension. You're writing comprehension, fermentation, and underlining this title. You complete the table. Now you can draw out the table, because I have so like this, and fill in the gaps. And you are testing yourself. Have you learned everything on here? And there's two questions here. At the bottom is compare anaerobic respiration of yeast with the anaerobic respiration of humans. Make sure that you add in what is the name for anaerobic respiration in yeast. So pause the video and black pen, getting on with these questions. All right, so here are my comprehension answers. This is you're using your green pen to tick every row that you have, making sure that you have it correct. Just be aware, like Miss did earlier, she tripped up. Aerobic respiration, the products are carbon dioxide plus water. But in yeast is carbon dioxide plus ethanol. So make sure you think to yourself. Now, the reason why I was able to remember that is because I think, oh, in yeast, brewers or winemakers add yeast to their wine, to their grapes to make wine, or to their hops to make beer, and that makes alcohol. Pause the video if you need a little bit more time, because here's the second question now. So you're comparing, again, you're using the word both, because you're looking at similarities, and whereas, because you're adding the difference. Okay, so just a reminder, that's the end of the lesson, that your classwork should look something like this, with your numbered pages. It's really clear. Number your pages, circle the number. Check you've done that now. If you haven't done that, do so now. Make sure your name is at the top as well. And some homework for you. Now, just to be clear, your deadline to upload is Sunday 10 p.m, just like your online website, Century Tech, as well. So your homework is, there is one additional document that I've uploaded to Google Classroom, which has knowledge questions and exam questions. You are to go through them, and you are to mark them in green pen as well. It is really clearly written what to do them first, and then mark them in green pen. So just show you an example of what it should look like there. Knowledge questions, you answer the questions, you mark in green pen, and you circle the incorrect questions for me to see. Your exam, you answer the exam. You can just answer as one word for the exam. And again, you're circling the questions you get wrong. And finally, at the very top, you are going to write a final mark. If you're doing foundation, it's out of 24. If you are doing the higher, including the challenge question 5, it is out of 29. And finally, as an extension, you should pre-read for the next lesson. It is from the booklet and it's on response to exercise and metabolism, and that's what we are going to study next lesson there. So final check. What should you upload? You need to upload your classwork and you need to upload your homework. The final deadline to upload is Sunday at 10 p.m.